Ooh, Bad Larry.
Welcome back to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry, and this episode is exciting as we are reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man number 9, featuring the first appearance of one of Spider-Man's most powerful enemies, ELECTRO. This issue was published in February 1964, written by the late great Stan Lee and drawn by the legend Steve Ditko. This issue promises the defeat of Spider-Man. Will this issue live up to its promise? And stay tuned till the end, as there is a special bonus page for you faithful Spidey fans. Let's check it out. This first page epitomizes why Spider-Man is the greatest. The image showing the dichotomy of Peter Parker and Spider-Man having to navigate normal human teenage dramas as well as be the hero of the city fighting off new villains after new villains is tough. Spider-Man is the king of relatable characters. Spider-Man is in a hurry. No, a rush even. We see the cops have some robbers pinned down. Both think Spider-Man is there for them. Nope. He just keeps on swinging. He changes into the civilian attire under the cover of night's darkness. Aunt May is sick. Very sick. Peter Parker had to retrieve her medicine. The Spider-Man can do it much faster than Peter Parker can. But she's worse off than drugstore pills can fix. She's going to need to go to the hospital. Until then, Peter Parker stays by her side, sleepless throughout the night. Meanwhile, across town, ELECTRO suits up for an armored car heist. So it looks like ELECTRO uses some technology under his suit to harness and discharge electricity. And again, this villain is in green. 100% of Spider-Man's villains so far have had a green color base. Why did Steve Ditko draw the armored truck drivers like World War II brown shirt Nazis? Anyhow, ELECTRO wants the gold they are transporting, and he uses his electro powers to get it. The next morning, Peter Parker is all cattywampus. Aunt May is getting worse. She better get to the hospital soon. Even the normal teasing from his classmates goes in one ear and out the other. He can't be bothered giving Aunt May's health is declining. Flash tries to keep the joke going, but remembers that right cross he took from Peter Parker last issue and slows his roll. At the hospital, the doctor tells Peter Parker that Aunt May is stable at the moment, getting ready for surgery. Betty Brant, the secretary for J. Jonah Jameson, has come to the hospital to be with Aunt May. And I think people were just more kind to each other back then. Or it just seems like it. Do you feel human society has become more kind, less kind, or the same compared to 1964? Let me know down in the comments below your opinion. Peter Parker can't walk Betty Brant home. He needs to raise money for the upcoming hospital expenses. Betty Brant knows there is something off about Peter Parker, but she just can't pinpoint it. Spider-Man needs to get some crime photos to sell to J. Jonah Jameson. Oh no, the rain! Peter Parker's camera is no bueno in the rain. Nothing is going Peter Parker's way, or even Spider-Man's way. Spider-Man's suit is not waterproof at this point. Don't want to get chafed swinging around the city in a wet Spider-Man suit. J. Jonah Jameson picks the wrong time to go to the bank. ELECTRO is there to rob it. ELECTRO somehow knows J. Jonah Jameson. Is that a clue to his real identity? After stealing some cash, we learn ELECTRO can use his power to scale the sides of buildings, using his electro rays like magnets. J. Jonah Jameson really thinks ELECTRO is Spider-Man. So much so, he put it in print, even though there isn't any proof of it. But it's the talk of the town right now. Peter Parker needs $1,000 for Aunt May's operation and asks J. Jonah Jameson for it. J. Jonah Jameson obviously denies him the money, but says he'll pay a lot for more Spider-Man pics. Spider-Man decides to catch ELECTRO instead and collect the reward money. Hour after hour of searching, Spider-Man has finally tracked down ELECTRO. Spider-Man snaps a pic and plans to track ELECTRO to his hideout. and recover all the stolen goods, collect the reward, and repair his soiled name. But Electro spots old Webhead, and the fight is on. Spider-Man webs Electro in the eye, but is shocked unconscious after grabbing Electro. Warning, no touchy Electro. Electro leaves thinking he has killed Spider-Man, but our hero isn't a normal man. His Spidey strength makes him hard to kill, but Spider-Man better learn to not underestimate his enemies. Peter Parker fakes the pics and sells the fakes to J. Jonah Jameson. Hey, Aunt May's life is on the line. Peter Parker has to do what he's got to do. J. Jonah Jameson prints the fake news that Spider-Man is Electro and has the whole city buzzing about it. But we learn the real identity of Electro. His name is Max Dillon, who used to be an ordinary electrician, a greedy one to boot. While on the job, Max climbs a pole and by sheer dumb luck is struck by lightning, not killing him, but changing him. Max's body can now store and regenerate electricity. Max chooses the life of crime and plans to free some criminals to be his foot soldiers. Electro is freeing prisoners and the cops are powerless against him. Aunt May insists Peter Parker stay at the hospital, joined by Betty Brant, until her operation is over. Peter Parker hears over the radio of the situation with Electro, but he can't leave as Spider-Man this time. Aunt May is too important. The absence of Spider-Man at the scene seems to fuel the insanity in J. Jonah Jameson's brain that Electro and Spider-Man are one and the same. Electro is straight up ignored by the inmates. His plan has failed. The cops quickly catch most of the escapees and Electro has no lackeys. Back at the hospital, Aunt May's operation was a success. Peter Parker decides to go take some pics at the prison, even though he is visibly exhausted. Betty Brant pleads with him to not go. But hey, dangerous pics pay the most. Spider-Man is on the prowl, his heart beating with anticipation of the upcoming battle. But first, he needs a suit upgrade to battle with Electro. J. Jonah Jameson sees Spider-Man swinging and knows he was wrong about Spider-Man and Electro being the same guy. Spider-Man has equipped himself with rubber gloves and rubber booties to offset Electro's powers. Electro managed to recruit a few inmates, but are quickly ambushed by Spider-Man. Our hero quickly dispatches the convicts and turns his attention to Electro by tossing metal ball bearings his way. Clever distraction. Peter Parker, the science nerd, is well versed in electricity. He tosses a metal chair at Electro to keep his Electro bolts away from him. Spider-Man gives Electro a sweet left cross against the chin, protected because of his rubber gloves. Electro is re-energized though, temporarily blinding Spider-Man. Electro makes a run for it while Spider-Man is busy beating up the escaped convicts. Spider-Man has the high ground, and the convicts make a smart decision and run from him. Electro keeps tossing bolts at Spider-Man, which are all dodged. But this time, Electro has a gun! Can Spider-Man dodge bullets? Spider-Man distracts Electro with a bucket of sand, enough so he can web that gun away from Electro. Now Electro is pissed. He rips some wires out of the walls and tries to Electro whip Spider-Man with them. Spider-Man is able to deflect them for now with his rubber gloves, but for how long? Spider-Man finds a water hose. Water and electricity don't mix well. Spider-Man short-circuits Electro with a perfect water shot, and he removes the mask of Electro but doesn't recognize him at all. Good news is that Peter Parker should have some sweet pictures of that battle to sell to J. Jonah Jameson. Peter Parker decides to give J. Jonah Jameson the juicy pics for free as an offset for the fakes that he sold him earlier. I guess his conscience got to him. Even Steven, I guess, between Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. Well, I'm not afraid to say that I made a mistake, and earlier I made a mistake a couple issues back when I said that Betty Brant was wrong for risen up Spider-Man because she seems so much older. Well, we learned that Betty Brant isn't that old. She dropped out of high school just last year, so she is about the same age as Peter Parker, I guess. You know, it's tough to decipher the ages of these people drawn back in 1964. Anyhow, Peter Parker reminds Betty Brant of someone who hurt her from long before. Peter Parker says, "Fine, sorry about that," and bounces before Betty Brant can fully explain. "Look, Peter Parker ain't playing no games with these females out here." Betty Brant tracks Peter Parker down at the hospital and patches things up. I guess Betty Brant is now Peter Parker's girlfriend. This special bonus page is for all you die-hard Spider-Man fans. The company, Marvel, is thanking Steve Ditko for an excellent job of drawing Spider-Man by making him draw his own thank you page. This sounds like something J. Jonah Jameson would do. Now stay tuned for the next episode of The Amazing Spider-Man featuring The Enforcers. As this episode is over, subscribe, like the video, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Peace.